Hey everyone, Gill Gross here post-match. Carlos Alcaraz versus Felix Auger-Aliassime, Basel semifinal. If you're not here for spoilers, click off the video in 3, 2, 1. Felix continues his incredible run and blows out Carlos Alcaraz 6-3, 6-2. It is now a 12-match win streak for Felix. He has a chance to win a third straight title in as many weeks, which is very, very rare. We've seen that twice since 2010. Murray did it in 2011. He won, let me pull this up real quick. I have it. He won Bangkok, he won Tokyo, and then he won Shanghai. Ruud did it last year after Wimbledon on the clay in Båstad, Stad, and Kitzbühel. So now FAA, he's won Florence and Antwerp. He's one match away in Basel. He'll play Holger Rune in the final, which is going to be super fun. Really looking forward to that. Another player who is red hot. The timing for Felix is amazing because, you know, we went into this stretch of the season thinking, well, is he going to make the year-end championships? And he failed to do so last year. He finished 11th in the race. And with the run he's gone on, he has secured it just about. Not mathematically, but it is pretty much a shoo-in. In fact, he could overtake Rublev for number 6 in the seedings. That he's looking, he'll get very close to Rublev, if I'm not mistaken, if he wins Basel. So they'll be kind of neck and neck going into the Paris Masters. Not a terrible week for Alcaraz overall. Predictably, he got into a little bit of a funk after the U.S. Open. I mean, again, that is completely understandable after such a taxing, exhausting, and life-changing, circumstance-changing run. Alcaraz just took a couple of losses. First-round loss in Astana was a little bit strange to Goffin. Didn't look great in Davis Cup, but picked up 3 wins, a good one over Jack Draper, one over Pablo Carreño Busta, who he knows very well in the quarterfinal, one over Botic van de Zandschulp in the round of 16. But this was one-way traffic in this semifinal, Felix over Alcaraz. Head-to-head, now 3-0 Alcaraz. But it's more like 2-0 because U.S. Open quarterfinal, last year they played, and Alcaraz came into that match with the hip injury and had to retire in the second set. So it's really 2-0 in the last month, both on indoor hard courts. Wouldn't read too much into the head-to-head, although I do think that Felix is a difficult matchup for Alcaraz because I think the best way to beat Alcaraz is to attack him ruthlessly. Do not let him get comfortable in rally, and Felix is able to do that really, really well. But at the end of the day, here's what this match came down to. FAA was the better server and the better returner comprehensively, not close. And Basel is very, very quick. This is exactly the kind of loss that we expected Alcaraz to take this year. You know, earlier in the year, even when he was tearing it up, at Indian Wells in Miami, we looked at a guy who just, his serve is a little bit average, and the expectation, I think, or my expectation was that sometimes he was going to face an elite server on a quick surface. He was going to get outserved very, very handedly, and he was going to lose matches as a result. And this was like the antithesis of that dynamic. We're not going to talk about baseline rallies here. We're not going to talk about baseline dynamics. They were irrelevant. Throw it out the window. It just didn't play a factor here. Alcaraz won most of the rallies. If you're going off of rally length, Alcaraz won the majority of the rallies 5 shots or more. 21-17. We're not going to talk about that. It just didn't matter. Forget about rallies. The faster the surface, the more short points you're going to play. The more great serves are going to get rewarded. The more great returns are going to get rewarded with, and the more points are going to end quickly. on quicker surfaces, and that's what this was about. Alcaraz was fine in the rallies, but it just didn't matter. What mattered was that FAA got 54% of his first serves unreturned. Alcaraz, just 20% of his first serves. If we break down rallies under 5 shots on serve, if we break it down like that, Felix won 32-4. These are points where Felix is serving and they don't get past 4 shots. The point ends in 4 shots or less. 32-4, an enormous advantage where Felix is winning all of these quick points all the time with his serve and with his +1 forehand. Flip it on the other side. Alcaraz, same stat, 14-12. 14-12, basically a toss-up. Basically no advantage for Alcaraz with the serve. 0. 14-12, minuscule. Once you get past 5 shots, the serve, has less of an effect because the distance is, from the time where, the serve was put in play, becomes greater and greater, and it starts to become irrelevant. And normally we're looking at neutrality when rallies pass, especially 9 shots. We're looking usually at neutrality at some point. So if we're looking at, again, those quick points, Alcaraz had no advantage from his serve because, look, he averaged 114 miles per hour on his serve, Alcaraz. And if you look at his spot serving, it's not great. It's not very good at all. He's not playing close to the line. So 114 miles per hour, you're not hitting your spots. The serve just isn't going to do anything for you. And Felix is a really, really good returner. He really is, especially on the second serve return. If you look at the second serve return, Alcaraz averaged 96 miles per hour. That's not bad, but the depth was really bad on many of Alcaraz's second serves. Just too short in the box. Again, 96 isn't bad, but Felix was getting really good cuts on the ball because it was just so short in terms of where it was landing. And FAA's technique, great compact technique, able to produce a lot of power on his second serve return and precision. And if you look at a lot of the sequences where Felix was able to break Alcaraz's serve, it had to do with attacking second serve returns by FAA. We can look at the first break of serve of the match at 3-4, double fault by Alcaraz to start. FAA with a backhand return deep inside in forced this desperate backhand flick that went long from Alcaraz. And then at that point, it's love 40, and Alcaraz rolled in the first serve at love 40 just to start the point, completely surrendering his advantage with the serve. I've said it before, but Felix, he's an elite server. An elite server. There's only maybe 4 to 6 guys who you can name that have better first serves than Felix. And Alcaraz, it doesn't really seem like he's an elite returner yet. I think he probably will get there. Maybe not. He'll probably get there. But when it comes to defensive returning, it just feels like Alcaraz is not the kind of guy who is going to really bother the biggest servers in the world in terms of neutralizing their first serves. It doesn't really feel like that at the moment. I felt that Alcaraz, missed a lot of first serves, especially on his backhand return, just not really able to measure the distance. Lots of backhand returns long, some in the net. He started guessing. By the end of the first set, he started guessing on the serve direction of Felix. And I mean, that is the ultimate sign of respect to a server. That means you really feel lost as a returner once you start, fully guessing, which is where Alcaraz was at a certain point in this match. I do want to share one more thing before I get to Felix's mental, just to hammer home for one last time how much the serve, mostly the serve, but also the return, decided this match. If we look at the first set, FAA won 12 more points than Alcaraz. 7 more unreturnables. Unreturned serves, FAA +7 over Alcaraz. Double faults, Alcaraz 3, Felix 0. That means if we just look at one-shot rallies, one shot, either unreturned serves or double faults, we can account for 10 points in favor of Felix, and the difference ended up being 12. I mean, it was literally just a match about serving. And then again, you know, I do think the second serve returning of Felix was creating a lot of those breaks of serve. I do also think, you know, in the bigger picture, Felix seems to be coming out of his emotional shell, which is something that I talked about after Davis Cup when he had the win over Alcaraz. I was so impressed with that win over Alcaraz. And you look at his results, Laver Cup, Davis Cup, ATP Cup, playing these team events so well. And I just saw something different mentally for Felix in these events. I just thought he was more outward with his emotion and playing with more fire and not holding as much in. And I think it was helping his game. And I do think he's unlocked some of that now in these regular individual tour events. He looks like his best self mentally, not suffering big dips in matches, which is something that had definitely plagued him for a while, but also he's bouncing back from mistakes where I just felt like sometimes when things went wrong for Felix, they would really snowball and avalanche. Avalanche, of course, being a large snowball. And now it feels like when he's upset with himself, he lets it out and he moves on. And that's what I like to see from him. Felix on a quick indoor hard court, who's better right now? Who is better? You know, him, Djokovic, Medvedev, right now on a quick indoor hard court. It has been quite the run from Felix. Big win over Alcaraz here. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.